Hey everyone, welcome to this explainer. Today we are setting off on a really fascinating and highly focused journey into the abstract, yet deeply impactful world of future innovation. If you're the kind of person who loves figuring out how the pieces of our technological world fit together to shape what's coming next, you are in the exact right place. We're going to bring some incredible clarity to some of the most complex shifts happening in our world today, and we're going to do it together. Let's dive in.
So let me ask you something. Are we truly ready for the next massive technological leap? It's a pretty provocative thought, isn't it? It instantly forces us to step back and consider our own preparedness for rapid, unprecedented change. You know, we often think of innovation as something that just sort of happens in the background. But the reality? The pace is accelerating so fast right now that readiness isn't just optional anymore. It is absolutely critical for survival and success.
And if you're wondering why you need to pay attention to this explainer today, just consider this staggering number. $15.7 trillion. Yeah, trillion with a T. That is the projected economic impact of these emerging technologies over the coming years. This isn't just about cool new gadgets. We're talking about a fundamental rewiring of the entire global economy. Understanding the map of this territory gives you a massive, direct advantage in navigating it.
Think of me as your flight captain today on a quick time machine journey. Here is our flight path. First, decoding the digital horizon. Then, near-term technological shifts, followed by mid-term emerging paradigms, the distant digital frontier, and finally, preparing for tomorrow, today. Section 1. Decoding the digital horizon, understanding the map.
Let's start by defining exactly what we mean here. The digital horizon is that continuously shifting boundary where our current tech capabilities crash into breakthrough conceptual innovations, fundamentally altering human-computer interaction and societal structures. So to be clear, we aren't just talking about iterative software updates on your phone. We are talking about massive structural alterations to how we interact with machines and with each other.
Looking at our source material, there are 4 primary drivers actively pushing this digital horizon forward. We've got artificial intelligence scaling, spatial computing integration, quantum computing development, and, threading through all of that, the evolving world of tech regulation and ethics. Everything we're exploring today rests securely right on top of these 4 core pillars. Moving to Section 2, Near-Term Technological Shifts, the World of Today and Tomorrow.
The most crucial takeaway here is the sheer speed of this shift. Look at this timeline. Within just one single year, we are seeing widespread enterprise AI adoption. Give it 3 years, and that matures into total automated workflow dominance. And by year 5, sophisticated AI-driven predictive analytics will simply be the baseline standard. The jump from basic adoption to complete workflow dominance in just a few short years is, frankly, breathtaking.
What we're witnessing is a massive paradigm shift. You know those traditional, frustrating workflows? Manual data entry, constantly putting out fires as they happen, using software systems that refuse to talk to each other? Yeah, we're moving rapidly away from that and toward an automated, interconnected ecosystem that actually predicts bottlenecks before they even happen. We are anchoring these wild AI capabilities directly to the everyday, present-day frustrations they actually solve. Work is about to get infinitely more efficient. Now, this is super interesting. Notice that massive 65% slice of the market share dedicated entirely to integrated workflow AI. Generative content gets all the flashy headlines in the news, right? But this data shows us exactly where the near-term market is actually heading and where the bulk of that multi-trillion-dollar economic impact lives. It is all about integrating AI deeply into the very fabric of how everyday work gets done.
Section 3. Midterm Emerging Paradigms, the Spatial Shift.
So if that's what tomorrow looks like, what does the world look like a decade from now? Watch how this evolution builds. We anticipate that bulky AR and VR hardware will peak in about 5 years. But by year 7, things get much smaller as we shift to lightweight spatial wearables. Fast forward to 10 years, we're looking at a seamless, ubiquitous spatial interface. Essentially, we are shedding the clunky headsets of today in favor of an invisible, integrated digital layer painted right over our physical world.
I know a screenless future might sound a bit abstract, but I absolutely love this analogy from our research. Just as smartphones eliminated the need for physical maps, spatial computing will eliminate the need for physical screens. Think about that. We all experienced that leap with our phones, right? It just became second nature. Well, the leap to spatial computing is going to be just as profound and eventually just as completely normal.
And here is the real kicker. The projected growth for software ecosystems and 3D content creation will completely dwarf hardware sales. This proves a really fascinating point. The true midterm innovation doesn't actually lie in the glasses or the headsets themselves. It lies in what we actually build inside these spatial environments. The exponential, explosive growth is all happening in the ecosystems and the creation of immersive 3D content.
All right, Section 4, the distant digital frontier, quantum leaps.
Now we're looking at innovations that honestly sound like straight-up science fiction, but the data proves they are rapidly becoming our impending reality. Commercializing quantum technology is definitely a long game. We hit quantum supremacy in niche labs at about the 10-year mark, achieve cloud-based access in 15 years, and look toward full commercial quantum cryptography at 20-plus years out. It is a slow burn, for sure, but it is one that will fundamentally rewrite the rules of digital security and processing logic forever.
To put this into perspective, the contrast in processing power here is just stark. Right now, our classical computing relies on bits, zeros, and ones. They process in a straight line and really struggle with highly complex simulations. Quantum computing, on the other hand, utilizes qubits, which operate in a state of superposition. This allows for multidimensional processing and practically instantaneous complex modeling. It literally shatters the physical limitations of the classical systems we rely on today.
But, with all this immense technological power comes the very real need to navigate some complex societal hurdles. If we look at this objectively, hyper-personalized AI brings immense benefits to workflows, sure, but it introduces major risks like algorithmic bias. Unhackable quantum communications sound amazing for security, right up until you realize that all of our current encryption models become completely obsolete. And immersive spatial reality? Great for collaboration, but how do we even begin defining jurisdictional boundaries in a purely digital space? These are the real-world bottlenecks we have to figure out as these technologies mature.
Which brings us to our final stop. Section 5, preparing for tomorrow, today.
Bringing our time machine all the way back to the present, how do you actually apply this map to your own life and career? It's all about how you adapt. Here are 3 specific, actionable phases you can start taking right now to ensure you aren't left behind as that horizon shifts. First, audit your current technological reliance. You need to know exactly where you are vulnerable to automation. Second, invest in continuous digital literacy. The learning literally never stops. And third, adopt agile frameworks in your businesses and personal workflows. You want to be flexible enough to allow for seamless spatial and AI integration as those tools hit the market.
I want to share a quote from our source material that perfectly encapsulates everything we've just discussed. The future isn't something that happens to us. It's a horizon we build piece by piece, bite by bite. I absolutely love that. It empowers us to take an active, intentional role in this technological evolution, rather than just being passive bystanders watching it roll in.
So, I want to leave you staring into your own future with one lingering question. When you look at your own digital horizon, are you just watching it approach, or are you actively building it? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. I really hope this structured journey brought you some clarity and excitement about what lies ahead. Keep learning, keep exploring, and keep building your horizon.